The year was quiet on Earth, yet a memory still lived in many hearts. That memory was about a ship called Aurora. Long ago, Aurora had been the pride of Earth, a shining vessel built to travel farther than any ship had ever gone. It was made with strong metal walls, endless energy cells, and systems designed to last for centuries. Aurora carried a crew of brave men and women who dreamed of finding new worlds. People had watched the launch with hope, waving their hands as the ship climbed into the stars. But after the launch, Aurora sent only a few messages before silence came. The last signal was weak, broken, and filled with strange sounds no one understood. Then nothing more was heard. Days turned to months, months to years, and years to decades. The dream of Aurora slowly faded. People believed the ship had been lost in the endless night of space. Some said the crew must have died, while others thought the ship had crossed into some unknown place never meant for human eyes. Children grew up listening to stories of Aurora. Teachers spoke of it in classrooms as an example of courage, but also of mystery. It became a legend, a ship swallowed by the stars. Families of the crew kept waiting for answers, but no answers ever came. Even after many decades, the name Aurora still carried a spark of wonder. It reminded humans of their wish to explore, to know, and to reach. Yet the mystery of its silence never found a solution. Then, one calm evening, when Earth's skies were clear and stars shone like tiny fires, something happened. Observatories across the planet caught a signal. At first it looked like simple static, just a faint whisper among the cosmic noise. But when scientists cleaned the signal, they froze. The signal was not random. It carried a call sign, an identification code from long ago. It was Aurora's code. In the control rooms of Earth, alarms sounded as the signal grew stronger. People who had studied Aurora for years rushed to confirm it. Old data was compared, and the match was perfect. The lost ship was speaking again. Excitement spread quickly. News networks announced the discovery, and millions of people turned their eyes to the sky. The world that had once forgotten Aurora now remembered with burning curiosity. How could a ship that vanished so long ago send a signal? What had happened to the crew? And where had Aurora been all this time? As scientists tracked the signal, they noticed something even stranger. The ship was not far away, drifting near the edge of Earth's system. Its approach was slow, steady, almost like it had been waiting for the right moment to return. Space stations pointed their telescopes toward the signal, and soon an image appeared. A great shape moved against the black sea of space. It was Aurora. The same ship, yet not the same. Aurora's body glowed with soft lights that danced like patterns of a living being. The once simple design now carried marks of change, as though something had touched the ship and given it a new form. Its size looked larger, its lines smoother, as if time had shaped it into something more than human design. The world gasped at the sight. Was it really the Aurora that had left long ago? The name on its side was still clear, painted in bold letters by human hands, yet everything else seemed different. People on Earth could not stop asking questions. How had the ship survived so long? What power carried it back after all these years? Who guided it across the endless dark? Governments called for calm, though their voices trembled with the same wonder felt by everyone else. Messages were prepared, waiting to be sent once contact was made. Meanwhile, families of the old crew gathered together, tears filling their eyes. Could it be that their loved ones had survived all these years? Could they step out again, unchanged by time? The night was filled with hope and fear, yet no one turned away. For the first time in decades, Aurora was real again. It was no longer just a legend. It was here, returning home. High above Earth, the lost ship moved with quiet grace. Its lights shimmered like stars, and its call sign continued to echo, clear and strong. Humanity, which had thought it was alone, now waited for what Aurora would bring. And so the stage was set. The vanished Earthship had returned, carrying something unknown, something hidden within its glowing walls. The world held its breath, waiting for the truth that would soon be revealed. The return of Aurora was no longer a rumor. All over the world, people stayed awake through the night to follow the ship's slow approach. Screens in homes, schools, and city squares showed the glowing shape moving against the black sky. The old Earthship that had vanished for decades was finally back. In the great observatory near the mountains, a group of scientists studied every detail. They measured the strange lights running across the surface of the ship. They checked the speed and path. What they found only raised more questions. The ship seemed alive, moving with perfect balance, not drifting like old machines usually do. The lights were not random either. They pulsed in patterns, almost like a language that no one understood. Leaders of Earth gathered in a special council. They spoke about safety, about welcome, and about mystery. Some wanted to send warships close to Aurora in case of danger. Others said there was no sign of threat. The ship was not attacking. It was moving with calm, as though it knew exactly where it was going. At last, the council agreed to send no weapons. Instead, they sent small greeting ships with bright lights and open channels. The world wanted answers, not fear. The return of Aurora was too important to cover with suspicion. As the greeting ships moved closer, the crew on board looked in wonder. They saw the name Aurora still written on the side in strong letters. But around the name were strange flowing marks that looked like silver rivers. They were not painted. They seemed grown into the very metal. The surface of the ship reflected light like water, as if it carried some new kind of energy. When the greeting ship sent messages, a reply came. It was clear, calm, and in the voice of Aurora's old system. This is Earthship Aurora, requesting permission to approach home. The words were simple, yet they carried a weight that made every heart tremble. On Earth, families of the lost crew cried with joy. They had waited for decades with only silence. Now they heard the ship's own voice again. Could their loved ones still be alive inside? Aurora entered orbit slowly, circling the planet like a traveler who had returned from a very long journey. Cameras on the surface showed the ship shining above the clouds. Its lights moved in gentle waves, and sometimes a great glow would rise from its center, as if breathing. When the docking platforms were ready, Aurora began to descend. The people of Earth gathered in open fields, on rooftops, and in streets to watch. They saw the great ship lower itself, silent and steady, until it rested near the landing area. Dust lifted in soft clouds as the ship touched the ground. For a moment, everything was quiet. The world waited, holding its breath. Then, with a low hum, the doors of Aurora began to open. The light from inside spilled out, brighter than sunlight but soft on the eyes. From the glow, figures appeared. It was the crew. They walked down slowly, one by one, dressed in the same suits they had worn at launch. The amazing part was their faces. They looked unchanged, not older by even a single day. Decades had passed on Earth, yet on them time had left no mark. They were the same men and women who had left so long ago. The crowd watching through screens cheered. Families shouted names, tears running down their cheeks. Scientists were lost for words. How could the crew return without age? What had kept them alive through the long silence? But the surprise did not end there. Behind the human crew came a figure unlike anything seen before. It was not made of flesh or metal. It was made of light. Its body shifted like flowing glass, bright yet gentle, tall but not heavy. The figure moved as if walking, yet its feet did not press the ground. The crew stood beside the figure, calm and unafraid. One of them spoke to the people waiting. His voice carried through the broadcast. "We are the crew of Aurora. We are alive because of this being. This is Sid. Without Sid, we would never have returned." The name Sid echoed across the world. People repeated it in whispers and in shouts. Who or what was Sid? The figure of light raised its form as if to greet. Its voice was soft, carrying warmth. "I am Sid. I come from a place outside the paths you know. I traveled with this ship through the endless dark, and I bring it home to you." The world listened in silence. No one had expected this. Aurora had not only returned, but it had returned carrying something beyond all understanding. For the first time in history, humanity faced a being that was not from its own universe. And that being spoke with peace, not with threat. The return of Aurora was no longer just a mystery. It was the beginning of something far greater. The landing site was filled with silence after Sid's first words. The glowing figure stood tall beside the crew, shining like a soft flame that did not burn. People across Earth watched the scene with eyes wide open. No one knew if they should cheer, cry, or simply stand in awe. The human crew looked calm. Their leader, a man named Ryan, stepped forward. His face was strong, but his eyes showed kindness. He raised his hand as if to show he was still human, still the same person who had left Earth decades ago. "We are alive," Ryan said. "We have been through places no map shows. We have seen things no one believed could exist. And we are here because Sid guided us." His words were steady, yet behind them was a story too large to fit in a single breath. Reporters begged for answers, scientists demanded details, and families shouted with joy. But Ryan only said more would be explained soon. The crew members followed behind him, each looking just as young as the day they had launched. A woman named Myra smiled and waved at the cameras. Another man, Tavan, looked around with wonder, as though Earth itself was new to him. The crowd could not stop watching them, amazed that time had not touched even one strand of their hair. Then Sid moved forward. The being of light stretched its shape like ripples on water. Its glow reached out in soft patterns, painting the ground with gentle brightness. When Sid spoke again, the air seemed to hum. "I am not from your universe," Sid said. "I come from a place where space has no measure and time has no hold. Aurora entered that place, and there I found the crew. I carried them safely through what you would call the endless void. I bring them back now, unchanged, as they were." The world listened with awe. Scientists whispered to each other about dimensions, hidden realms, and impossible physics. But Sid's words were simple, as if spoken to every person, not only to experts. Children watching from their homes smiled at the sound of Sid's voice. Elders who had waited for answers wept quietly, feeling the weight of decades lifted. One of the crew, Myra, spoke next. "We were lost. Our systems failed, and we believed we would never return. But then Sid appeared. Sid was not like anything we had known. Sid was not machine, not human, not creature. Sid was light, but also mind. Sid gave us shelter when there was nothing but silence." Her voice carried both fear and gratitude, as if she still remembered the moment of despair before Sid saved them. Ryan added, "We thought Earth would forget us. But Sid told us Earth still needed us." Sid guided Aurora back here, to show that humans are not small, not lost, but ready to take the next step. The words touched every listener. Humanity had always wondered if it mattered in the endless universe. Now the answer stood in front of them, glowing in soft light. Sid shifted again, its body flowing like a river of stars. "I exist in a place outside of what you call existence. I defy the rules that shape your world. Yet here I stand with you, because your kind has the courage to reach beyond limits. That courage drew Aurora into my realm, and that courage is why I walk beside them now." Reporters asked what Sid wanted. Some feared there might be a hidden demand. But Sid's reply was gentle. "I want nothing. I return what I protected. I offer only the truth of where I dwell. What you choose to do with that truth is your own path." The council of leaders, gathered near the landing site, bowed their heads. They had prepared for danger, but now they felt humbled instead. The crew, unchanged by time, and Sid, shining with quiet grace, were living proof that the universe was wider and kinder than they had imagined. As the day turned to night, people all over the planet gathered around fires, screens, and meeting halls. They spoke about Aurora, about Sid, and about what it meant for the future. Hope rose like a tide. Fear remained, but it was smaller than the wonder. Families of the crew finally embraced their loved ones. Though decades had passed, to the crew it felt like only a short journey. Parents saw children who had grown old, and children saw parents who still looked young. The meetings were filled with tears, laughter, and endless stories. The being of light watched quietly. Sid did not interrupt, nor claim attention. It simply stood, glowing softly, as though guarding the moment. By the end of the night, one truth was clear. The vanished Earthship had not only returned, but it had returned with a companion that was beyond all measure. Sid, the being that defied existence, was now a part of Earth's story. The next chapter was waiting, and humanity stood ready to hear it. The return of Aurora had already shaken the world, but what came next carried even greater weight. The crew was welcomed with honor, their faces shown on every screen, their words written in every paper. Yet people knew the greatest mystery was not only the crew but the being who stood with them. Sid was no visitor from a nearby star, nor a traveler from another planet. Sid was something beyond all worlds, a presence that lived where no maps reached. On the morning after the return, Earth's Council invited Sid and the crew to speak in the Great Assembly Hall. The place was filled with leaders, scientists, teachers, explorers, and people chosen from many nations. Outside the hall, thousands gathered in streets, listening to the words through large screens. Sid stood at the center of the hall, glowing with soft light. The glow spread gently across the walls and ceiling, making the great chamber shine as if filled with dawn. The human crew sat nearby, watching with calm respect. A leader of the council spoke first. "Sid, you have returned our lost brothers and sisters. You have given back what we thought was gone forever. But now the world asks, what is it that you wish to share with us?" Sid's glow shifted, rising and falling like waves upon water. Its voice filled the chamber with steady warmth. "I bring no command. I bring no rule. I bring a gift of knowledge. I will show you how to see beyond the walls of your sky. I will open a door, but I will not push you through. The choice will be yours." The hall became still. People leaned forward, not wanting to miss a single word. Ryan, the crew leader, spoke for the humans who had traveled with Sid. We lived with Sid in the place beyond. We saw the endless void, a realm with no measure, no time, no weight. In that place, we believed we could not survive. But Sid gave us strength, not by force, but by showing us how to be more than we thought we were. The scientists whispered among themselves. They wanted to know what kind of knowledge could make such a journey possible. The people wanted to know if this gift meant hope or danger. Sid raised its glow higher, and a vision appeared in the air. The lights formed shapes that danced like stars, but these stars bent and folded in ways no telescope had ever seen. Colors that Earth's eyes had never known filled the space. Time seemed to slow, then rush, then circle back again. The vision was not a trick of machines. It was a window into the hidden realm where Sid lived. Gasps filled the chamber. Some covered their eyes, others reached out their hands as though they could touch the impossible shapes. For a moment, they felt small, yet not forgotten. Sid's vision showed a place where everything seemed without limit, and yet it welcomed them. "This is the void I call home," Sid explained. "It is not empty. It is filled with paths unseen by your kind. Aurora entered by chance, but I guided it so the crew would not fall into silence. I bring this vision so you may know there is more than what you see. If you wish, I can guide you, too." The words stirred deep feelings. Teachers saw a future where children could learn beyond the stars. Explorers saw journeys greater than any map had promised. Families saw a chance for humanity to grow without fear of being lost in darkness. But not all were ready to accept. One elder stood and asked, "What if your gift breaks us? What if we are not ready to walk into such a place? Our world has often feared what it does not understand." Sid answered with calm light. "That is why I offer, but do not demand. If you choose to remain as you are, I will not fault you. Your journey is your own. I only open a path. You must decide if you wish to step forward." The crew added their voices. Myra said, "We were afraid at first. We thought Sid was too much for us. But Sid never forced us. Sid showed us and waited. We found courage and stepped forward together. That is why we are here now." The chamber filled with quiet reflection. The people did not cheer, nor cry. They thought deeply. For the first time in history, humanity was being asked not by a ruler, not by a conqueror, but by a being beyond existence itself, to make a choice for its future. When Sid's glow softened and the vision faded, the hall was still bright with hope. The world knew that the gift Sid offered was not just knowledge. It was trust. Sid trusted humans to choose their path. And in that trust, humanity felt something greater than fear. It felt ready to dream again. The people of Earth had listened to Sid's words. They had seen the shining visions of the hidden realm. Yet many still wondered if it was real or only an image shaped to amaze their eyes. Humans had always searched for truth, and now they wanted proof that Sid's gift was not only a dream. The council asked Sid to show more. Sid agreed, and the next evening the world watched as a gathering took place near the great landing site. Thousands of people stood in open fields, while millions more followed the event through screens. The aurora rested in the background, glowing softly as if alive. The human crew stood proudly beside Sid, their faces filled with calm strength. Sid raised its light higher, and once again the air shimmered with colors. But this time it was not just a vision. A path of light opened in the sky above the crowd. At first it looked like a shining arch, but then it stretched into a wide circle. Inside the circle, the stars bent and twisted into shapes unknown. The people gasped as they saw objects moving through the circle. They looked like rivers of light, flowing without end, carrying sparks like seeds drifting on a breeze. Time around the circle seemed different. A clock shown by the scientists ticked slowly on one side, then quickly on another. It was clear that the rules of Earth were not holding inside that shining window. "This is the void," Sid explained. "This is where Aurora traveled. This is where I live. No machine of your world could create this. It is not image. It is truth." The crew stepped forward. Myra spoke, her voice strong and clear. "We lived inside that place. We breathed where no air was meant to be. Sid sheltered us. We saw rivers of light stretching farther than eyes could follow. We walked on paths that bent into themselves and carried us forward without end. We know it is real, because we lived there." The people listened with wide eyes. They wanted to believe, yet the sight before them left no doubt. The proof was shining above their heads, bending stars and time itself. Tavan, another crew member, added his own memory. "There was a moment when Aurora's engines failed. We believed we would fall forever into the endless dark. Then Sid carried us. We felt the ship lifted, though no hands touched it. Sid guided us through storms of light, storms that would have broken us. We reached a calm path, and we followed Sid until we found the way home. Without Sid, we would not stand here today." The crowd grew silent, as if the whole world was holding its breath. The proof was not just in Sid's vision, but in the voices of those who had lived through it. One child in the crowd tugged at her mother's sleeve and whispered, "If they can go there, maybe one day I can too." The mother held her close, smiling with both hope and wonder. Scientists began taking readings of the circle of light. Their instruments filled with numbers that made no sense by normal laws. Energies rose and fell, time stretched and curved. At first they tried to explain it with equations, but soon they realized it was beyond what their current knowledge could measure. Sid spoke again, its voice like music in the air. "You ask for proof, and I give it. But proof is only the first step. What you do with it will shape your path. You may choose to close your eyes and walk away. Or you may choose to see that there is more beyond the sky than you ever dreamed." The words touched hearts across Earth. Farmers in their fields paused their work to watch. Students in classrooms sat with silent awe. Sailors at sea lifted their eyes to the horizon, wondering if one day they would sail into that shining circle. The council of leaders stood together, their faces serious but filled with light. They knew the world could not return to the way it was. Even if they chose to turn away from Sid's gift, humanity now knew for certain that more existed beyond their universe. The circle of light slowly faded, leaving only the stars above. Yet the memory of it burned brighter than any star. The people had seen the proof with their own eyes. They could no longer doubt the words of the crew or the presence of Sid. That night, across every land, people spoke of the vision. Some spoke with fear, others with joy, but all agreed on one truth. Humanity was no longer bound to its old limits. A door had opened, and no one could ever close it again. The world had seen the proof. Aurora had returned, carrying its crew and Sid. Humans had glimpsed the realm beyond the stars, a place where time and space moved in ways no one could imagine. Yet seeing was not enough. Now the moment had come for the hardest step. Humanity had to choose. In the great assembly hall, people gathered again. This time, it was not for questions alone, but for a decision. Leaders, scientists, teachers, and explorers stood together. Citizens from every land watched through screens, waiting for the moment when a choice would be made. Sid stood at the center, its light calm and steady. The crew of Aurora stayed close, each person showing the quiet confidence that came from traveling where no human had gone before. Ryan spoke first. Earth has always dreamed of reaching the stars. We have sent ships and probes, we have built machines that climb higher than ever thought possible. But now, we have a chance to step beyond the universe we know. Sid has offered us the path, but only if we choose it freely. No one is forced. No one is guided by fear. The choice is ours. Myra added, we were afraid at first. Even with Sid, the place we traveled seemed impossible. But Sid showed us that courage, curiosity, and trust are stronger than fear. We are here because we chose to step forward, and because Sid guided us gently. You can do the same if you wish. The hall grew quiet. Outside, millions of people waited for word. Some felt excitement, imagining what it would be like to walk beyond their universe. Others felt fear, afraid of leaving behind everything familiar. An elder named Jero stepped forward. He spoke slowly, carefully. I have lived many years. I have seen change, I have seen loss, and I have seen hope. I ask this, if we step beyond, what becomes of Earth? What becomes of the life we know? Sid's glow brightened gently, like a warm sunrise. Nothing of your world will be lost unless you choose to leave it behind. Your families, your homes, your lands, they remain. You may explore, and you may return. Knowledge and growth do not erase the world that shaped you. They add to it. The people listening were silent. They had never faced a choice like this. The path beyond existed, but the first step was theirs alone. No one could take it for them. Then Ryan said something that made many hearts beat faster. The universe is larger than we can measure. If we remain here, we will learn slowly. If we step forward, we will learn faster. We will see, we will grow, and we will become more than we were. But the step is ours to take. Sid waits, not to push, but to guide. One young scientist, a woman named Lyra, raised her voice. I have studied the stars my whole life. I have dreamed of touching what no one has touched. This is the chance. If we step forward, we can bring knowledge and understanding to everyone. The elder Jero nodded. And if we do not? If we turn away? Sid's voice filled the hall again. Then your world continues as before. You will not be punished, and no door will close forever. But you will know that another path exists, and you have chosen not to walk it today. That is all. The assembly debated. Some argued for caution. Some argued for exploration. Families spoke of safety. Children spoke of wonder. Slowly, the mood shifted. The fear did not disappear, but the hope grew stronger. Finally, the council called for a vote. Not only leaders, but scientists, teachers, and explorers had the chance to speak first. The vote was close, yet in the end, the majority chose to step forward. Humanity would accept Sid's guidance. A cheer rose from the assembly hall, echoed by people across the world. Aurora's crew smiled, their eyes shining with pride and relief. Sid's glow pulsed gently, as if acknowledging the courage of all who had chosen the path. Ryan spoke once more. We are ready. The first explorers will leave under Sid's guidance. They will learn, they will grow, and they will return with knowledge to share. This is not the end. It is the beginning. As the sun set, the world seemed to hold its breath. Across continents, people felt that a new chapter in history was beginning. Humanity had made the choice. They would step into the unknown, guided by Sid, carrying the courage that had always defined them. For the first time, Earth was not only a world looking out at the stars. It was a world ready to move beyond them. The world waited with hearts full of hope and minds full of wonder. Humanity had chosen to step forward. The first group of explorers, guided by Sid and accompanied by the Aurora crew, prepared to leave Earth. People gathered at the landing site, waving, cheering, and sending their best wishes. They understood that this was the beginning of something larger than any story ever told. Sid hovered beside Aurora, glowing brighter than ever. The crew, calm and confident, moved among the explorers, offering guidance and reassurance. Ryan spoke to them one last time. Remember, the path we take is not forced. It is chosen. Every step will teach you something new. Every moment will change you, and that is the gift Sid offers. Trust in yourself, and trust in Sid. Myra smiled at the young explorers, her eyes shining with excitement. We were once in your place. We were afraid, but we chose to follow. You will see wonders beyond imagination, and you will carry Earth's courage with you. Sid's voice spread through the landing site, calm and soft. The journey is not one of fear. It is one of discovery. What you learn will be yours, and you will return to share it. I do not control you. I only guide and protect. The explorers stepped onto Aurora, feeling the smooth metal beneath their hands and the warmth of light from Sid surrounding them. The ship lifted slowly, carrying them above Earth's surface. Below, families, leaders, and citizens watched as the ship glowed brighter against the evening sky. As Aurora left the atmosphere, the stars stretched around it in ways never seen before. Sid's light enveloped the ship, creating a bridge into the hidden realm it called home. The explorers felt a gentle pull, not of force, but of invitation. The universe outside their world seemed alive, welcoming, and waiting. Inside Aurora, time felt different. Every second carried weight, yet moved freely. The explorers saw paths of light that curved and twisted, stretching across what seemed like infinity. Colors filled the space, glowing with brightness their eyes had never known. They realized that the universe was not as solid or fixed as they had once believed. It flowed, changed, and adapted to those who moved through it. Ryan spoke to the explorers again. Do not be afraid. You are the first of your kind to walk where no human has walked before. Every step is proof of courage. Every moment is a lesson. Learn from it, and carry it back to Earth. Sid shifted its light, forming shapes that spoke without words. The explorers understood the messages by feeling, by seeing with more than their eyes. They learned that knowledge could come from senses beyond sight or sound. Every thought, every feeling, was connected in ways they had never imagined. As they moved deeper into Sid's realm, they encountered rivers of light that flowed like gentle winds. Some shapes folded into themselves, creating paths that seemed impossible, yet Aurora moved through them smoothly. The explorers felt awe, not fear. They realized that humanity's imagination, courage, and curiosity had led them here. They were not small. They were capable of wonders beyond measure. After what felt like both moments and hours, the explorers paused. Sid's light softened, creating a calm space for reflection. The crew spoke to them, sharing memories of their own journey, reminding them to stay humble and curious. Then Sid spoke. You have seen the first part of what exists beyond your universe. You have felt what it means to be unbound by time or space. Remember that this place is not yours to control. You are guests, observers, and learners. When you return, carry what you have learned to guide and inspire. Humanity is now ready for growth beyond your world. The explorers nodded, understanding the weight of responsibility. They were not only travelers, they were ambassadors of Earth, carrying hope and courage into the unknown. As Aurora returned, moving back toward familiar stars, the explorers looked at Earth. It shone like a blue jewel, calm, strong, and waiting. Sit's light remained, but it softened, leaving them to carry the knowledge they had gained. When Aurora finally landed back on Earth, the explorers stepped down, hearts full of wonder. The world welcomed them with cheers, tears, and joy. They had crossed beyond existence and returned. They were different, yet they were still human. They had seen what few could ever imagine. Sit remained beside Aurora, its glow gentle, as if saying goodbye without words. It had given its gift, guided humanity, and shared the proof of what lay beyond. And then, slowly, it faded into the sky, leaving behind the knowledge and courage it had offered. Ryan spoke to the people once more. This is only the beginning. Aurora and Sit showed us that we are capable of more than we believed. Humanity is ready to grow, to explore, and to reach beyond our limits. The path ahead is ours to choose. The people of Earth understood. The vanished ship had returned. It had carried a being that defied all existence. And it had shown humanity that courage, curiosity, and trust could open doors to worlds beyond imagination. From that day, Earth was no longer the same. Humanity had learned it could stand where no being had stood before. The journey into the unknown had begun, and the future was brighter than any star.